Hey everybody, how's it going? Oh dear. So I'm coming out with you with a video that I thought I would make because everyone in the comments is just like, you keep talking about Brandon Sanderson, but you don't tell us what to start with. And I'm just like, it's really hard because, you know, he's written like lots of books like that. So what I've done is I've looked at all the books, I've looked at all the recommended places that people start to get into the Cosmere, which is his universe. First, I want to tell you why I love Brandon Sanderson, and then I thought we could have a chat about what you might like and where best to start, which book will suit your needs, will suit your wants. So I'm convinced we'll find you the right one. Let's get started. So the reason why I love Brandon Sanderson, like he is that kid in class, right? He does the assignment, but then he puts glitter on it, you know? He does the work and then, you know, does, oh, look at my like 7-page bibliography. Like he is the one that takes what we're supposed to do and like raises it up like 200%. Like that is what he is to me. He is the best fantasy writer that I've come across yet. And I mean, like, I haven't read every book ever, like, not gonna lie, but I have read quite a few, and there's no one that quite fills the gaps when I can't read a Brandon Sanderson book. I think Brandon Sanderson's kind of trademark quality is his really inventive magic systems. Like, he comes up with the craziest things to use as magic systems. For example, in the Mistborn series, they use metals. They ingest metals, and each metal gives them a specific like power or enhanced ability. So like basically he does magic like nobody else does magic. One of the things he does really well is character growth. Like he does it naturally, you know, through events and action, and nothing feels forced, nothing feels like dramatic for the sake of being dramatic. Nothing ever feels like out of character without there being a reason why. The other thing that I really love that Brandon Sanderson does is plot twists. Like, comment down below if you have guessed plot twists that have occurred. No spoilers, please. And the best thing about it is that even now that I've told you that there's going to be plot twists, you're still not even going to see them coming unless you are some kind of like crazy psychic monster. Like, I really love how Brandon Sanderson does romance and like relationships, because there's no insta-love in his stories. Absolutely none. He builds relationships in a really kind of positive way. But one of the best things, and for me, this suits me just fine, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but the romance isn't the forefront of the story. The romance doesn't like overpower the story, and it doesn't make the story do stupid things. It's there and it exists because that is what the characters are going through, but it's not like the be all and end all of this story. There's always a bigger picture. There's always something going on. The only thing I will say, and you know, he does lose points on this, is that it's very like heteronormative, which is a bit unfortunate because, you know, like, we could always do with better representation, couldn't we? And I mean, he's done hetero romance so well so far that like, just change the pronouns, man. Like, you're good. You've got this. Then there's his world building. His worlds are so real, and they exist beyond any other fantasy genre that I've ever seen before. Like, he doesn't default to the trolls and the goblins and the gnomes. He doesn't do that. He creates his own races. He creates his own lore, his own mythology, and they always connect so well with the story and the physical place and the physical time that these stories exist in. Like, and he does all this without info dumping. Like, oh, he does not info dump, which is what I really love about his work. Next thing he does, Brandon Sanderson has a way of making everything come together. Like, his attention to detail is just so amazing. In the Stormlight Archive series, they have a religion or a philosophy where things that are mirror images of each other are really pure, really holy. So they have names, everyone has a name that's like a palindrome, but not quite, because if you were to have a name that was a complete palindrome, you would be being a little bit blasphemous. He's able to go into that kind of detail, and everything fits within the world that he's constructed. Everything works. He builds up these amazing cultures, these really rich practices and beliefs, and everything, it just all fits. It just all fits, which happens to be, sidetrack, my main gripe about the Kingkiller Chronicles. Oh. Sorry if you're a desperate fan of Kingkiller Chronicles, like, feel free to convince me. I'm open to it. But that guy, I'll make a ranty video where I will make my views a bit more coherent. And then finally, he has the most satisfying endings to books. The end of the Mistborn series, it was the ending that I never even knew that I needed in my life, but he just did it. He just did it so perfectly. Ah, guys, it's so good. Just give him a chance. Do yourself a favor. Just give him a try. If any of those things that I've said appeal to you, then you're really gonna like Brandon Sanderson's books. If you're the kind of person that really likes maps in books, Brandon Sanderson. If you are the kind of person that likes a really nice balance between like action and intrigue, he does alternating perspectives really well, because there's no one that you don't care about. He is so good at like knowing when to stop a chapter and get to the next person, because you are just like, damn you, Sanderson! I need to find out what happens next. Yeah, he does pacing really well. If you like it when fantasy tropes are kind of put on their head or like reimagined, then you're gonna love his books. You're gonna love his books. All right, so you're just like, I'm convinced already. Tell me what to read. I'm like, okay, guys, okay. If you're going to read a Brandon Sanderson novel, do not look up the fan art. Don't do it. Don't do it, guys, because you are gonna get spoiled and you don't want that. This video has got some fan art in it, and it's fan art that I've carefully selected. Someone that's already privy to all the spoilers, I've selected it for you, you know? So just trust me on this one. Don't go there, okay? Great. Now that we've had this chat. Right. So if you're not super keen on fantasy and like swords and horses and like magic and that sort of thing, that's cool. You're gonna want to pick up Steelheart. Steelheart is about superheroes and supervillains. It presents the idea of, you know, absolute power corrupting absolutely. And it's the story of these epics, these like superheroes essentially. It's also an urban fantasy, so it is set in Chicago, or in this alternate universe it's called New Cargo. I will say that Steelheart is one that I have yet to get to, but I have heard great things about it. So say you're on board with fantasy, you're really new to it though, and you're not so sure about this whole like magic thing. That's cool. You're gonna want to pick up Elantris. Now Elantris is set in a world where the magic is dead. The magic is no longer functioning. So it has a lot of those other kind of elements of fantasy without it being full on like magic firing out of your armpits everywhere, you know, like, because this magic is dead and it doesn't work anymore, the people that develop the magic are essentially these undead characters. That's not quite the right term, but like they're not alive anymore. They're cursed. You're reading this for the two main characters, right? First off, you have the main guy character. He's essentially like the prince, and he wakes up one day to find out that he has been given the curse of the Elantris. He is really determined, he's really kind, he is really passionate, very altruistic, he wants to help people, he is just a blossom of goodness, you know, and you just want to love him. Anyway, the female lead in this, she is also pretty awesome. She is also a princess. She's come from a neighboring country to come and marry the prince. However, things don't go exactly to plan. She is essentially left in a new country with no friends and nobody likes her, and she still does all right, you know? She is able to integrate into the court. I love also that she starts corrupting the other ladies. In this story, in her country, she is a fencer, and in the country that the prince is from, nobody is trained in swords, nobody knows how to fight, because they've had peace for so long. Why would they want to? And so she comes in and starts teaching the ladies of the court how to fence, and it's just so great. Okay, so if you're like, all right, I'm into magic, let's not go too crazy with it, but what I really want is a nice juicy romance that I can ship the hell out of, you are going to want to read Warbreaker. Warbreaker is pretty tame on the magic side of things, but what it does really well is has this beautiful relationship that just like flourishes over time, and it's just so precious and you just want to love it. What you're also going to go to Warbreaker for is the humor. There is just such dry, sassy wit humor in there that it's just so good. This one also has a really interesting magic system. As I've mentioned before, it's based on color, it's based on aura and breath. I think I've gone into that enough. It's weird, it's kooky, you're gonna love it. And finally, the two main girl characters in this book go through an incredible arc, because in the beginning these two sisters are like complete polar opposites, and you just see the way that they handle this, and it's just so lovely to see. If you're into fantasy, if you're into really cool magic systems and you like the group dynamic, you're going to want to read Mistborn. Mistborn has a really interesting magic system. It is based off metals and what is known as allomancy. It has really interesting ways of using the magic, and it feels very part of the world. The other thing that this book does really well is that group dynamic. I think in the beginning it can be a little bit overwhelming because there's lots of characters to get your head around, but it's all told through the perspective of Vin, this one character. I've heard people that have read Six of Crows, and if you like group thing that's going on, you're gonna like Mistborn. Having said that, I have not read Six of Crows, so I can't really make an accurate comparison there. I mean, if you have read both, add to this discussion down below in the comments. Tell me if I'm right or horribly wrong. What Mistborn exemplifies to me is really turning all those fantasy tropes on their head. Yes, there are magical creatures. Yes, there are different races. The way that it's done is really creative. There's no like insta-love in this book. There's no like the chosen one kind of trope. There's nothing that I can think of that's like this. It's so unique. If you're into high fantasy, and if you're into multiple perspectives, and you're into like really rich worlds, you're gonna want to read the Stormlight Archive. This one is not yet complete, guys, so just like know that going in. This world that he creates is so unique. It's, oh god, it's just so cool. I really love his attention to detail in this one. This to me is the world that stands up the best on its own. This is the best series that he's got. And I wouldn't want to start with that, because then you'll just be sad. And we don't want that. We don't want you to be sad. That's not the point of this video at all. Right, so you've got the two main characters. Calendon, he is frustratingly optimistic character. The kind of character that was explored in Elantris is a more complete idea in this novel. He is so passionate, he's so committed, and he's so kind. Kind of leader that is at the front of the line driving. The other one that I'm reading this book for is for Shallan. Shallan is the female lead. Like, I love her. And like, she has red hair, which, I mean, automatically I'm going to love her. She's an artist. She also like is incredibly persistent. She doesn't take no for an answer. She's very bookish. Like, you can see why I love her. One of the cool things about the Stormlight Archive series is that there are little pictures within the book. Every, you know, couple of hundred pages or so, there'll be like a page of her drawing. Sometimes words just can't do justice for, you know, sometimes you just need a picture. You just need a pretty picture. Finally, if you are really intimidated by the size of his books, if you're really intimidated by the fact that there's a lot of words going on in those books, and if you just like, just give me some pretty pictures, you're going to want to read The White Sands. White Sands is a graphic novel that Brandon Sanderson is working in collaboration with, and it's got its own kind of magic system, it's got its own kind of lore and mythology, and it's its own world. It's complete, it's very good. This isn't a video to say as soon as you pick up a Brandon Sanderson book, you must finish it and everything else that he's read. That's not what I'm about. He has a lot of books and a lot of thick books, and not everyone's into that. That's cool, I get that. I look at books and really long books with a kind of excitement, because for me, it's like looking at a new TV series and hearing that it's got like, you know, 5 or 6 seasons. You're like, yes, I am sorted for X amount of time, you know? Like, it's kind of like that for me. But I know that some people can get really kind of intimidated by the size of books, or feeling like they have to finish it, or feeling like they can't have an opinion unless they've finished it. No, man, no. Like, your opinions are your own. You're allowed to do what you want. And you don't have to read any or all of his books just because I've asked you to. Like, I'm just saying, if you're interested, this is where you want to go. I think I've probably like fangirled enough for one video. Let me know what you think of this video. Have you read Sanderson? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any further recommendations for these books that I haven't finished yet that you want to let other people know, please no spoilers, because we're all nice and friends here. Hope you guys are having a great day. I hope this inspires you to pick up a Sanderson book, and I hope you really enjoy it. And if you don't, that's cool too. Feel free to tell me. And tell me why, because I don't really get it, but like, tell me why. Okay, bye guys. If you like this video and you like any of the fan art that's in this video, go check out the links that I've put in the description box below. I don't own the fan art, I only own the drawings that I drew. And you can tell what those ones are because they're amateur.